Hello, what have we here? It's the Lando series, and finally, we have some sort of acknowledgement from Donald Glover about it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday, April 7th. Spring is in the air. Lando is in the air. Lando had no hair when he showed up on Jimmy Kimmel. But we talked about it on Monday. We gave our takes on this whole thing about him acknowledging it and what have you. But today, Lacey, James, and myself are going to talk about a little Speculation Nation time on whom we may also see in a Lando series with a younger Lando that is played by Donald Glover. Maybe Han, Chewie, Qi'ra, who knows? We're going to discuss that later. But to get things going, I'm just going to quickly say hello. James, I see you have a Star Wars shirt on. Lacey, you're just wearing... Is it a Star Wars shirt? Or are you just going with like a blue shirt today?
It's a Rey shirt.
A Rey shirt. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
It's a Star Wars Celebration Rey shirt, actually.
How's your new...
Celebration?
Hey.
You see what he did there? How's your new Office
James
podcast?
gave me nothing. He was just like, celebration.
Yeah.
Sorry, what, John?
How's your move? You were trying to move to a new
I haven't
room.
moved yet. It's a long, long saga of saga.
I'm saying next year, maybe.
Next year?
You got too much crap behind you.
It's not even that. It's okay. It's a combination of things. I have a new baby.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the big one.
A new exercise machine is getting put into my house this past week. So
Ellipse?
they had the
Oh,
tonal.
it's a Peloton, and I bet.
No, the tonal.
Tonal?
Yep, the wall thing that has a screen. That has
John,
all
you
the
haven't seen it?
pieces.
You got it. It's the tonal package.
You were on fire today. 0 for 2.
Anyway, so because of that, we had to make room for that and build a whole new wall for it because it needs certain support. And we had to drill into the floor in the basement and all this stuff.
Wow.
So then that's kept me from moving stuff. And basically right now, the way our house is, it's like we have to play like kind of shuffle around because like one room's got to go into the other room and then the other room's got to go in this room. So long story short, it is going to happen. Will it happen before Celebration? I hope so. Most likely.
We're not doing Will of the Force right now.
I know, but I just thought I'd give a Lacey personal Will of the Force.
Will it happen, John?
Because
What
I
do you
feel like
think?
our visual watcher, or like our viewers, not our audio people. Audio people don't give a crap right now. They're like, Lacey, shut up. The video people are probably like, yes, Lacey has not provided a new background that she keeps talking about. It's coming. It's just taking a while.
Well, we are less than 7 weeks away from reuniting in person.
That is insane. It's been forever.
Yeah. You and I have no excuse besides just having kids and crazy lives, but...
Well, COVID. That's a pretty good excuse.
Yeah, but yeah, that's true. But I'm not going to get too much into it, but I'm so immunized at this point. I feel like Thanos. I've collected all the stones on my glove, but no, I hear you. But no, we have a good show because I like when we do what we call Speculation Nation, where we just kind of like have a base of knowledge and just go for it. So I'm really excited about that. What'd you say?
Tinfoil's hats.
Yeah, exactly. But first, we're gonna hand it to James to take us through this week's first segment.
I fear nothing, for all is as the Force wills it.
The first segment this week is Will of the Force. Big surprise there. We do Will of the Force pretty often. So at this point, it's hard to say that it's back, baby, but it is back. Once again, another week has gone by. And do you know why these weeks just keep coming and keep coming? Because we have supporters. We have Patreon supporters. They are awesome. That's why I want to give a shout out really quick. If you love what we do here on TRB, please consider supporting the show. You can do so on patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Tiers start at just $2. It's not that much. $2 once a month helps support but it'll immediately grant you all access to the bonus episodes, the videos, the commentaries, all that stuff that we do over there on Patreon. So there are so many benefits and perks as you move up the ranks. Some of them are, submitting questions. Some of them are joining us in chats and other things like that. We actually just got off the call with our generals and spice runners and admirals, and so it's really cool to like hang out with them for a little while and talk about all the things that are coming up on a one-to-one basis. So, if that sounds interesting to you, maybe consider heading over to Patreon and joining whatever feels right to you, because this show is run by the three of us, and, it's just that's all we do week to week, working on the show and making it what it is. So if you guys want to help support in that, if you like the show, if you want to help us grow in the future while getting some exclusive content on the side or on the back end there, maybe head over to the site. Again, that's patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. Let's get into Will of the Force. We're actually going to take one of the first questions here from one of our patrons, Commander Armando Ramirez. They wanted to know, they asked us the question, will young Luke show any signs of his strong connection with the Force in the Kenobi series? It's a good question that is going to Lacey.
I think he will, because I think I said this. I don't know. I'm losing my track of things I've thought and said about Star Wars because I'm just constantly thinking about it. I think that something's going to happen that's going to make Luke vulnerable to the Inquisitors that are going to be on Tatooine, which we know from the trailers they're going to be there at some point. And so it's going to drive Obi-Wan to try to get them off planet. And the only reason he would do that is if Luke shows something or something happens where Luke is known of or could be known of like what he's capable of. And I think it would just be a really cool thing to show him using the Force somehow, even if he didn't realize it, which this is going to sound so kind of lame to some people, but it's kind of like Halloween Town, where the little sister uses her magical powers at the beginning with a cookie, and the mom hides it from her by eating the cookie. She like makes a cookie float from behind her back. Or
she just unlocks the gate like for no reason.
Are you talking about Halloween Town 3?
I don't know. It's one of them. No, it's got to be the first one.
This is the one. First one.
I think it's the first
one. What
the
hell is Halloween Town?
Halloween Town. My doppelganger's on Halloween Town.
Yeah, it's
Who's your
not good, John. Don't worry about it.
Kimberly Brown. Kimberly J. Brown.
Oh, and John goes to Google.
John, before you go to Google, answer the question that they asked us. What's going on here? Do you think that Luke's going to show any signs of strong connection to the Force in the Kenobi series?
Kimberly Brown.
Kimberly J. Brown from Halloween Town. You can just Google it and she'll come up.
I don't think she's your doppelganger.
She is when I was in sixth grade.
Yeah. When this came out, John, like so long ago. Yeah.
Like in the 90s, like her and I looked exactly the same.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, I got you. Okay. I thought this was like a new thing that came out.
No.
Like Hubie Halloween.
No, she's like little Lacey with bangs.
Well, listen. The deal is Luke will not show signs of a strong connection to the Force. Because if they show anything that grand, it would be a little jarring.
It'd probably be the Inquisitor.
Because then you're saying 9 years later, we got this like stumbling doofy kid who has zero knowledge of what the Force is. Literally doesn't even know what it is. Doesn't show any signs of a connection to it. He's getting beat up by Tusken Raiders. So they'll probably do something, but I don't think that it makes sense. So I'm hoping that they have some reservation with it, and that he will not show a strong connection with the Force. Strong. The question was a strong connection. So I don't know that I want to see Luke at that age have that, and then at 19 be like, what? I don't know.
Maybe Halloween Luke has the memory loss.
Well, in Halloween Town, what happens is if you don't use it, it goes away after a while.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't use it, you lose it?
Yeah. So maybe that's what Luke, it's like not even in his mind.
That's a good point. Armando, I'm with John actually on this one. I don't think we're going to see... Yeah, I don't think we're going to see something from Luke. I think that John's actually right as far as like that may be like a bigger reason why not to show him, but I think it's kind of one of those things where you just don't necessarily need to. I feel like if we get a moment where you just show him and he could just stand there with like a push in towards him and they play the Force theme, you're like, the Force is present without having to show anything. You hear the Force theme, you see Luke standing there and you go, I know what's up. I know there's something dormant inside that child. They don't need to actually physically show you anything. They can do it with a music cue. And people probably won't even realize that they're showing you by playing that music. It'll just be like, I know and I feel good because I feel like I'm on the in and I have inside information because I know what's going to happen to that kid, or I know the future of that kid or whatever.
Yeah. It's a tricky question because him and Leia just inherently have a strong connection to the Force, right? But it's like, is it realized? Does he realize? So the question, like, it's a tricky question. It's a great question by Armando, but I just don't want Luke to like.
The question isn't does Luke know he has the Force? It's does he show signs?
Yeah. I just don't want to see Luke like broom boy a wrench into his hand or something and be like, and not realize that that's what that is. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
I'd be okay with it.
I think the only thing that you're gonna get would be something sort of similar to Anakin in the sense of like he seems to say things that are more true. Like a child shouldn't be saying those things because it seems like they're more aware of something. But even then, John's point of like Luke is like kind of dumb.
But with the blast shield on, I can't see anything.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God. Well, it could be a scenario where, like, again, like he gets angry at something. Yeah, he gets angry at something, and then like something explodes, or like something like kind of like Stranger Things.
Oh, that would piss so many people off if Luke shows a dark side tendency or something. Oh,
he's a little kid. Little kids get mad. Not every little kid is going to be happy.
Little kids do get mad.
Like the Rainmaker. Are we all on the same page? Anybody who knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about. But
Poltergeist.
Parage? Did you just say parage?
He said poltergeist.
Yeah.
No, you said are we all on the same parage? Did you say parage or page?
Page.
I said page.
Oh, I heard parage. I was like, what's a parage?
Anyway. It's similar to a partridge.
Apparently.
You find them in pear trees. Anyway, moving on. Rainmaker was from Rian Johnson's movie with Bruce Willis and about the future.
Looper.
I'm not ready to talk about Bruce Willis. I'm still actually pretty upset about the whole thing.
Still pretty upset. All right. Too soon. All right. Our next question here is, will Obi-Wan Kenobi kill anyone in the Kenobi series? John, do you think there's a chance that he will pull a Man of Steel?
Yeah. Zod's dead, baby. That's a Pulp Fiction reference and Superman reference. Will he kill anyone? Yes, I think he absolutely will. Whether it's one of the Inquisitors or a Stormtrooper or somebody getting in his business, Obi-Wan has shown he will do what he has to do. He will not hesitate. So I think we will see Obi-Wan kill somebody in this show. And I think maybe even multiple people. To protect the ones he needs to protect.
Sure. Lacey.
Yeah, I think he's going to kill someone. I think that's pretty apparent from the trailer that he's going to kill people because he's at a low point and he's willing to do what he needs to do to get the job done, I guess. I'm saying like all these cliche phrases tonight. Just like he's going to do stuff and he's going to kill people.
It's funny because...
That should be the pull quote for the show.
It's funny because I'm generally on the side of like, I don't care if Batman kills or I don't care if Superman kills, like kind of thing. And people
really?
are generally
That bothers
on the
me.
Opposite. Really?
Yeah. Because the whole thing with Batman was that he'd never kill anybody. He'd string them up and then they go to either prison or they go to Arkham.
When?
I don't want to break my one rule.
In all the comics.
Nope, never. Not in all the comics. Nope. That is not the history of Batman or Superman.
Okay, Batman didn't kill people until like Frank Miller, who like went in and was like, Batman's killing people like crazy.
Yeah, like in the 80s. So you're talking like, 50 years of Batman killing people. And then he made one that like...
And then Superman's supposed to be hopeful comic book
the other way
character
around,
that doesn't
Lacey.
kill anything. What?
Batman stopped killing people for so long that people were like, oh, Batman doesn't kill people. And it's like, yes, he does. He always did. We just have been in a phase for a while where he hasn't. Same for Superman. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Not in the movies.
No, not in the movies, but anyway, my thing is I think Kenobi should not kill people. I think that would make him a good Jedi.
I agree with you, but I think he will.
Yeah, I don't think
Jedi
he
kill
will.
people all the time.
What?
Jedi kill people all the time.
They kill stormtroopers, all different types of people.
Snipers.
Yeah.
Like Obi-Wan killed Zam Wessel, like without even looking.
And
He's at
Grievous.
a bar drinking, and he's like,
Mhm.
blang. But anyway, go ahead, James. I'm taking your spot. Sorry.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes they do that stuff because they're not given any other choice. But like a bounty hunter is out to kill somebody.
So which Inquisitor is he killing?
I don't know. I don't think he's gonna kill anybody. I don't know. Maybe
Alright,
that's a weird.
right on.
Maybe that's a weird thing. But yeah, but I just to connect that, I just think it. I think they're trying to paint Obi-Wan in a light, and I think if he kills anybody in the show, I don't think that'll make him be cooler or something like that. I think the Inquisitors are out to kill people and choke people and all this other stuff, and Kenobi is not that, so he has to be the opposite of that somehow. I don't know, but I guess I could be still killing the bad guy, but I don't know. But anyway, we get another question here, and this one's coming actually from a new general. So Brendan is our newest general, and Brendan wanted to know, they asked us the question by submitting it on Patreon, will we see a large creature in the Kenobi series like the Krayt dragon from Mando, the sand creature from the Book of Boba Fett, or maybe like a jackfish or something, So John was just sitting here waiting to smile because he
Now
knew
I know
that it
why
was in the
John
question.
picked this question.
Yeah. No, but
It's
the
a
question,
new general.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was also a little...
And Brendan knows what's up. He knows how to get his question in the show. Yeah, exactly.
Well done, Brendan.
Well done. Lacey, you're going first on this one. Any chance that we're going to see a creature to the extent of a visual display of awe in this show?
I want to say yes because I really love those moments. I'm all about the creatures in Star Wars. I'm going to say no because with all the people that are hunting down Obi-Wan Kenobi, I can't see him battling against a big creature of some sort. So I'm going to say no.
Mm-hmm. John, thoughts?
What planet is the Inquisitorius Headquartorius located on?
It's a moon, and it's off of Mustafar. I don't know what it's called.
I think we're gonna see some sea creature or something,
That's
like
a
a
good
big
point.
giant sea creature around that. Because if you saw that one shot, they have like, it's almost like when you go to the aquarium, the giant windows, and they're underwater. I think we're gonna see big, giant, like sea creatures swimming about. I don't think it's gonna be jacked fish, but it would be cool. It'd be cool.
I wish we got to see that creature on Octo in The Last Jedi. They only showed
The
its
one with the
tail.
spikes, yeah. I think we'll get some big creatures just to help fill out the environments and that sort of stuff. Because if it's just water, like, then why even do it on that location? So I think we'll see some stuff. Not that Obi-Wan's going to be fighting it, but I think we'll see a giant creature. So
Oh,
Totally,
that's how
I-
I took the question. If we're just looking at one, then yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think John, your answer is probably the most correct there, because I was gonna say that I was on Lacey's side there, that
But
there
just
was
seeing one, yeah.
there's no point in having
Wait.
this character in the story because of the what they want to do with it. We've been saying that for a long time. It's so tight. You got to do all this stuff. There's no real purpose in having a whole episode dedicated to beating this like Krayt dragon or whatever. But if it just being in the background and being like a visual display, again, like you're underwater. By the way, I looked it up. The planet is, or the planet is called Nur, and it is a moon.
Oh my God, really?
What you get? What? Why is that funny? You both
it's
laughed.
just a
They're like sitting in a meeting, and what should we call this planet? Ner.
like Pablo Hidalgo sitting there with a Nerf football, and he's like, and he holds it, and he's covering the F, and he's just like, "How about ner?" And they're like, "Brilliant! Put it on the whiteboard."
And there's the way you said it, James. You were like, "It's called ner."
It's called ner.
I was thinking less about the name as me trying to spit out whether it was a planet or a moon, because I was like, I said planet, but I'm like, I think it's moon, but let me confirm that. And I was just said the name while I was trying to figure that out. But yeah, it's a water moon located in the Mustafar system. But anyway, yeah, so that won us all over. Expect to see a giant fish of some sort through the glass windows of the Fortress Inquisitorius. So there you go. There's your answer. All right, we got one more here. It's Will, Han, and Chewie, Alden, and Lando, right? Appear. Did you write that wrong?
He did.
Yeah.
Alden and Joonas.
Yeah. Appear in the Lando series.
What are you talking about?
Joonas. There he is. Yeah. Well, okay. I'm going to start. Will Han and Chewie, and we're talking about Alden and Joonas. Will they appear in the Lando series? I was so
in the Joonas series.
Oh, did I say that?
No, imagine I wrote the Joonas series.
The Joonas series. Yeah, exactly. All right. So we got that. John, go first. What do you think? This is quick because everybody knows what we're talking about today.
I have decided from this point forward in my journey, I am going to allow myself to be fully hopeful about things in Star Wars and not be worried about my hopes getting crushed. I'm not going to say I expect things, but my hopes will stay strong because Star Wars is about hope. So because of that, I'm going to say yes, we will see Alden and Joonas back as Han and Chewie at some point in the Lando series. And hopefully that, like, I think Lacey said Monday, like, hopefully that leads into something with Han and Chewie. But I think we'll see him. I think we will.
All right. Lacey?
I'm going to say yes, we will. This is, again, one of those weird things that it's like, this character's so tied to Han, and he has so many different adventures and stuff that we don't know about with Han, that I think he has to be in it at some point. And I would love to see it, so I'm going to say yes.
Question, because I just pulled this up. Was there not a Falcon image that was related with this?
Yes, but they didn't say whether it was a prequel. They didn't say whether, like, where it took place. It was just the Falcon from Solo. That's why we got so excited on Disney Investor Day.
Yes. So because I'm remembering that, and I'm going off of your word there, I'm going to say no. I think maybe eventually it's possible, but if we saw that Falcon associated with the announcement of the show, then that makes me think this show happens before Solo. And it's Lando when he had the slick-looking Falcon.
I mean, if you look at it, it would make sense because you have Cassian, which goes before Rogue One. You have Obi-Wan, which goes before A New Hope. Then Lando would go before Solo.
Mm-hmm. So my guess is that if you're talking about how the show's going to be marketed and could these characters show up, I think the show takes place before Solo. So therefore, Han and Lando have not met by this point. Now, granted, they could say season 2, the movie takes place in between. Yeah, but yeah, that was quick. Yeah. What do you think? Should we head into the discussion then?
I think so.
I was the one that kind of forgot that we were doing the discussion.
The funniest thing about it is you were like, okay, guys, be quick.
I know,
yeah. Discussion.
Yeah. And then I was like, yeah, they're digging this
but that's
point.
good.
All right,
that means we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it, John. What do you think?
For the sake of segues only.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Yes. So the discussion this week, could the Lando series include Han, Chewie, and Qi'ra, and others, but those were the 3 big ones I popped into my head. So for the first time, as we talked about on Monday and a little bit earlier, Donald Glover essentially confirmed he's returning to play Lando in the Lando series. So we talked about this Monday, as I just mentioned, but it is possible this could be a direct sequel to Solo. Could we see Han, Chewie, Qi'ra, and others fit into this story and this series in some way? Now, obviously, you got to toss out the idea that we just brought up, which is if this is a prequel to Solo, then all of this is a wash except Qi'ra. Qi'ra could technically appear.
I think Qi'ra's definitely showing up.
That's very possible, but then you're talking about both of these actors having to play even younger versions of themselves as it is. But it can be pulled off, absolutely. Yeah. But let's say this series jumps around kind of like the Last Shot novel did, and maybe we get stuff before Solo and with Lando, but we also get stuff after, because I think on Monday I had said there is about a 13-year gap canonically between Solo and when we meet Lando on Cloud City. So there's a lot of room there to explore. So just for the sake of us not knowing, sometimes we like to speculate on this show based on just minimal knowledge, and then we revisit and reassess when we get more details. But all we know now is there's a Lando series happening. It appears Donald Glover is coming back, and that's basically it. So I would like to think that if they are going to, under the assumption that they are going to explore stuff that happens after Solo, we're going to get an opportunity to see more entanglements between Han and Lando, pushing that joke of which moment are they referring to in Empire Strikes Back, leading to the potential "is he going to punch me" moment. So I obviously, hopeful guy, I would really love to see Han and Chewie show up in this series. It doesn't mean they have to be in it a lot. It could be one of those things where Lando, it'd be a funny scene if Lando steps onto the Falcon and it's just a complete pigsty and he's looking around. He's like, "What did you do to my cape closet?" Like all this stuff that they could do with that. Just seeing those guys back would be a huge deal for me, obviously, and all of us here, and a lot of people, because there's a lot of people who've been looking for more Han and Chewie. The Qi'ra thing, there's obviously a lot of buzz there because of what they've been doing with her, Crimson Dawn in the comics, and what's her deal. That might be a little too distant for something like Lando. Though this new Shadow of the Sith thing showing, Lando getting really involved in those more darker sort of journeys with Luke, maybe he does get a little roped in and entangled with that side of things in the underworld and Maul and that sort of stuff. So I'm not really sure. But boy, I just would really love to see Han and Chewie, and hopefully that does springboard into more, and you can make it sort of like a Solo verse sort of thing where it's like, all right, we got the Lando series, and now we're going to do stuff with Han and Chewie and the Qi'ra Maul stuff, and who knows what that would build into. But my first instincts are just straight out of hope and positivity is that we will see them, and that's again under the assumption that this series, at least at some point, will explore stuff that happens after Solo, which in my opinion for Lando is more interesting than figuring out what he was doing beforehand. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. Like, I guess I'll throw it to you guys. Other than answering this question for the sake of the discussion, are you more interested in seeing what Lando was doing before Solo or after Solo?
Lacey?
It's tricky because the Lando we meet in the lodge is really cool. Like, that guy is cool, and he's a liar, and he's swindling people, and the way Qi'ra describes him as like a sportsman and all this stuff. He's a retired
smuggler, and now he just
he's a sportsman.
Plays cards,
But the interaction they have together is very interesting, where he's just like, "Hey," and he's like leaning up against her and stuff, doing the kind of like smug flirting thing, and she's kind of being like, he's like, the whole explanation of him to Han, where she's like, he's very fashionable, and like she's like describing him as this amazing person. You wonder why she thinks that. Did something happen there? What kind of things have they done together? So that interests me just because I really love Qi'ra. She's one of my top Star Wars characters. I'd love to see more of her. So if it's a pre-thing, Qi'ra is going to be involved somehow. But at the same time, I feel like the relationship we see of Lando and Han in Solo, especially at the end where they like literally are doing that kind of combative I hate you, but we're best friends thing that you're starting to see.
Mhm.
And the way he leaves him at the card game, it just sets it up to like even more, like you said, John, opportunities to be like, okay, what are they really referring to? Are they referring to the ship? Are they referring to that card game? Are they referring to this instance, that instance, this situation they got in together? So to me, I think I would be more interested in the post-Solo stuff, not just because of Han and Chewie, which is a big part of that, but because I feel like I just said, we're getting a lot of prequels. We're getting a lot of, before this. Before this happened with this character, see how they got to blank. I would rather see, okay, we have this gap of time between point A and point B. Let's explore that because nobody has yet. So that's what I would like to do. That's my opinion.
My thing about it is, I think, what I said in Will of the Force was based on the fact that we saw that picture of the Falcon and it was
right.
Lando's
and
Falcon.
It was the one with the blue markings on it and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
it still had the escape pod too.
That's what I would think would be the big clue, is that escape pod was there, so it's got to take place before Solo. But my thoughts are like, so I'm thinking like, if I'm Disney and I'm making decisions, and we're like, a lot of the things that we've said about like we want to see the Solo series is, in my opinion, it is because it seems like it's prime Star Wars. It's like smuggling and bar fights and gambling and like bunches of aliens and getting into bad situations and stuff. And I'm like, I'm almost thinking that Disney big picture could be like, well, we've got two characters that are known for that very famously that are in our movies. There's Han Solo and there's Lando Calrissian. We'll give Han Solo the movie. We'll give Lando his own show. Like Lando's almost like a tier different, and it's kind of like, well, then Lando seems to be retired at that point. So maybe that's a front or whatever, but let's just go on the fact that like he used to do a lot of smuggling. Now he doesn't. This was his like last job. Well, then that makes me think the more interesting Lando is the pre-Solo Lando. But I feel like my heart tells me I want to see Han drag Lando back into it. He says he's retired. I want Lando to be like,
that'd be
I'm
cool.
retired, and he never really was. You know what I mean? And I want to see him. I want to see him be involved with Han and Chewie and have that friendship. That whole thing between those characters is far more important to me than Lando on his own, just doing what I wish I was seeing Han doing.
And
so
also,
I'm more interested in the later Lando, as long as he's with Han and Chewie.
Yeah.
But my second bet would be, okay, Lando on his own doing Han and Chewie things, I'm like, I'm kind of okay with that too. And I wanted to make a quick point too about Qi'ra. You said, these actors would have to play earlier versions of themselves. Only Lando, because Qi'ra, we already saw when she was on Corellia,
Bangs
much
Qi'ra.
younger. So she would...
No, I know.
Yeah, so she would very easily be able to play any version of herself past that point. So when she's in Crimson Dawn, at any point, she already looks like that right now.
Oh, yeah. Without question. It's just something that they have to do and tackle.
Sure.
But I mean, it's obviously got to be stated, I think, if it is pre-Solo, I don't think there's any chance Han or Chewie are in this. Just where their characters were at that point is just completely different. It would make zero sense other than to just do it for a fan service thing. My question is, I have two questions. One, I was just trying to Google was it an official image that showed the Falcon thing? Because I'm looking at the Kathleen Kennedy photo and it's just that Lando logo. I'm trying to find where they showed the Falcon.
I remember having that discussion, and I don't know where it was
in the
from.
Disney Investor Day presentation. Before she announced Lando, they showed a Falcon image on the screen when she was talking about what was coming. And then we got excited during that whole thing, and then she announced it was Lando.
But then also, let's not forget that, I mean, if that's the case, that's the case. That was almost like a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh no. No,
absolutely don't rule out that it was just like, at this point in time, when we say Lando, we want you to envision the Lando that you got in Solo because it's Donald Glover.
Well, also,
but
it
doesn't really have to do with the Falcon, and we're not trying to say anything timeline-wise.
Was it a year and is my math right? It was a year and
It was December 15th, 2020.
2020.
No, 20.
Yep.
so a year and 4 months ago.
It was 2020.
Yeah. So a year and 4 months ago, they changed this stuff a lot. They had said that there was a writer involved and maybe he had moved on to other things. Like, it's very possible that at first they were like, yeah, let's explore what Lando's doing before. And then they were like, oh, wow, that whole, fans are really looking for Han and Chewie or something. I'm not saying it's because of what we were doing and what us and a lot of other Star Wars fans were doing about Han and Chewie, but maybe they're like, we should retool this and, maybe bring those guys in and that's how we bring them back. And, those things are always like, when it's in development or in the writing process, they could have like easily made that change. So maybe, let's say for argument's sake, they had the Falcon because they had the idea being it was going to be before Solo, but then they're like, maybe the real place is after, and they shifted it around or something like that, because we didn't really hear too much about, is it written, is it, it just sounded like it was something that they're like, let's green light this, let's get it into development. And like we saw with Kenobi, that was a movie at first, and that got shifted around to other things, and there was the rumors that Maul was involved, and granted, Pablo allegedly debunked that, but the Vader thing was maybe not. Rogue One, a lot of big changes. This stuff's always changing. And like Colin Trevorrow's Episode 9 was a completely different movie. So there is certainly the chance that they're still tinkering with the timeline on this Lando series. And
yeah, definitely.
I do agree with what you were saying though, Lacey.
Yeah.
That and both of you, like that there is that intrigue of, let's see what Lando was like before he got himself in more trouble, and maybe he, was able to swindle more people. And
I
want to
see the after.
Lando.
I'm just saying.
Oh, you
I
want to
feel
see
like
after
the trend with shows so far have been prequels, have been what happened prior to us meeting them at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's possible they retooled it. So it's just something to think about.
I went looking for it. So she was talking about visions. She announced visions, and then she turns and the camera spins over, and the next thing we see is, and this is kind of funny, I'm seeing this artwork and I'm like, oh, I've seen it before, but like people don't use this artwork very often. But it's this really cool image of that Falcon, and I can't see the blue coloring, but it looks like it has the escape pod, and it's got a light
blue stripe kind of on it, right?
Yeah, maybe. But it's got the headlight on, and it's looking into space, and it's coming at you. And this is when she started talking about it, and she mentions, who's working on the project. You see the image change to that person. Who is that person?
Justin something, I think. He was the guy that does. I'm blanking right now.
Yeah.
He was someone that was writing something.
Dear White People?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to hear her say his name, but
it's Justin something. But anyway, so she announced the writer, and the weird thing about it with the ship was that we got excited for the ship, not realizing like, oh, wait a second, it still has the escape pod and everything once you think about it. But we got excited about the early Solo Falcon ship, thinking, oh my God, is this it? And then we reacted to the Lando thing because she announced just the writer working on it, didn't announce that Billy Dee was involved, didn't announce that Donald Glover was involved. So the three of us were like, okay, wait, what? Did they announce that too early? Did they announce it because Disney was like, hey, you need to announce some stuff? Because remember how much Marvel things they announced that day too? It was just crazy, the amount of stuff they were announcing. And that was 2020, so it was a crazy year for Disney where they were down because the parks had closed for the first time ever. So they needed something to pump up the stock prices. So they announced all this stuff. So I feel like this project was definitely something that they probably threw out earlier than they wanted to. And all they had was the writer that was tied to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're totally right, John. Million things could change. That image, could like I said, it could just be a reflection of the Solo movie you just saw, so we're wanting you to, in your head, kind of picture that Donald Glover,
Right.
that Lando, right? It could be that. It also could be, and this is wild, maybe it seems a little crazy, maybe he wins the Falcon back, or maybe like he meets up with Han and Han's like, well, of course I put the escape pod back. How am I going to get out of here? If you know what I mean? Like, just because
but that
we're looking
whole
at,
ship looks different.
well, okay, that's true. It got all like beat up or whatever, but I don't know.
It looks exactly like the A New Hope Falcon by the time of the end of that movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But like, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, just because we're looking at the ship, that doesn't like lock in that it's a prequel 100% or anything, you know?
No, exactly. Yep.
But I mean, Rangers of the New Republic was announced at that event too, so.
Yeah.
So things
And
can change.
this was like two or 3 years after Rian Johnson's trilogy.
I know. They didn't announce it.
I know.
But
Crazy,
anyway, no, I think it's interesting. Like, if I had to say, like, okay, they're making a Lando series, Donald Glover's involved. What do you want to see most? I would be like, totally 100%. I want to see Han. I want to see Chewie. I want to see that. I want to see them get involved. Go back and forth on, you know, I'm getting my ship back. No, you're not, you know, kind of stuff. Obviously, that's prime for me. And in a perfect world, I would have that be the adventures of Han Solo. I would say this is his show. Lando's in it just the same as the movie. Like, I'm not dogging the movie at all for like, I guess my thing is, like, in my head, I'm still thinking of Han as the A-list character and Lando as the supporting. So it's like, I don't want to
like
dog
Boba Fett.
on...
Boba Fett wasn't a main character, but now he is.
So that
That's
makes me
yeah.
feel bad when I'm like, you should make a Han Solo series. It's like, why don't we make a Lando series? And it's like, can we still bounce around in that world? And I go, okay, all right, I'll bite. That's fine. That's not how I was thinking of it, but if you want a twist on it, you know. But again, this still falls under the world that I'm hoping Han and Chewie are in it. You know, if it's Lando at this point too, I'm gonna like the show, I'm gonna love it, but I want Han and Chewie, right? I mean, we're a solo podcast, like, so we obviously want that. So it's hard to say, you know, that our 100% vote is on this other one. It's just like 98% vote. I'm down to see Lando and Qi'ra and the old Falcon. And I said on Monday's show too, like, I think that Donald Glover could be working on music for this, you know, and if he's going to make it kind of rap centric or something, then it's just like that. It's all about Lando, and where does Han fit into that? He doesn't really. So let's just celebrate Lando, you know? So it's like, okay, cool. Well, all right.
Right.
Well, yeah. And yeah, the Boba Fett thing, it's like when you think about that series, you know, Boba Fett is a supporting character. He is a side character, and he's got his own series. And what they do, they pump that series full of a lot of other characters. And I think that's what you have to do when you try to create a several hour series based on a character that is, you know, a supporting role. And that doesn't mean, you know, people are going to, like, for some reason, people think every character needs to have massive arcs and be the star, and everyone needs to be on the same plane. That's not good storytelling. You need supporting characters. You know, Rose Tico is a great supporting character. Finn is a great supporting character. Boba Fett's a supporting character. Lando's a supporting character. You go down the list. I mean, they're important. Obi-Wan Kenobi was a supporting character in A New Hope.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, it's how it is. So Lando is in that same category. So if you do make a series centered around him, maybe they think like, we need a little more muscle here. Let's inject a lot of these characters in. And like, doesn't mean Han and Chewie are along for the, 8 episodes or whatever this ends up being. Maybe Han and Chewie appear for half of one episode, and we find out that they met up with Lando because they needed his help. They're on some kind of run and they had someone on their tail and they needed him to help them out or something. And that's all you need. And then maybe you bring Han and Chewie back in later, but we get a little taste that they were working for Jabba, and it makes you like, oh, I kind of want to go with them for a little while. And maybe that, they test the pulse of how fans feel about that and that sort of thing. So, I mean, and that's not me saying I don't want to see a Lando series. I absolutely do, because I think Donald Glover is awesome, and James, you said Monday, and Lacey, you've been saying like he was so good as Lando. It was almost like the fan casting that everyone knew was going to happen, and it happened. It was just one of those things that was
yeah.
And
destined.
it paid off. Like it
Yes,
was exactly it met all expectations.
Yeah.
The weird thing for me is just feeling like we're gonna watch this show and be like, this is a Han and Chewie show that we've been pitching for a long time, and they're calling it Lando.
Yeah,
it's like the gangsters, the gambling, like Lando going to see Jabba because we've never seen that before. That's how he got the costume and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, so you could have Jabba in the Lando show. You could have this Qi'ra in the Lando show, and you're like, well, I would have thought that would have been in the Han show, but it's in the Lando show now, and it's just like, he's doing all the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is and I could be wrong, but I feel like, tell me if I'm overplaying like Donald Glover's like star power, but I feel like this is a show that was pitched and greenlit because of the actor more than the character. Like they were like,
100%.
that guy was so freaking good as Lando, and he's such a big star that everyone loves in all these different genres of entertainment, music, TV, movies, comedy, blank, as a writer, blank, all this stuff. He checks all the boxes. They're like, we gotta get him back. That he was too good. And like instead of it just being like, oh, we really need to do a Lando series, it's like no, we want more of Donald Glover in this galaxy as Lando.
I definitely think it helps. Lacey, you're saying 100%? Are you not open to the idea that, say, Lando in Solo was actually a lesser known actor, like not a household name person, but he still did a good job? Like, you don't think they would have thought that Lando would have been a character? I mean,
I don't think Lando would have gotten a series if it wasn't Donald Glover. And I think that they haven't announced Donald Glover because either A, he hadn't signed the contract yet, or B, they weren't sure where this series was going to go yet. It was so early in production.
Yeah.
I don't think that if you had some unknown person playing young Lando, that it would have gotten the acclaim and credit and craziness within the fandom that Donald Glover got. He's awesome. He's good at everything he does. He's one of those people that like is good at everything.
Yeah, I'm thinking it absolutely like helped. Like it's like we're imagining a scenario where he wasn't like, obviously anything that got greenlit, he was already attached. So of course it's like, well, this makes a lot of sense. I'm just trying to give, not that you're not doing it, but
you're trying to give the character credit that it should get his own series. I don't think he would have if Donald wasn't Lando.
I'm trying to think, like, Lando to me,
they put someone more popular in a role that wasn't as popular, if that makes sense. Like, you can't say Lando is more popular than Han. Han is like everybody's favorite character in Star Wars.
But Han got a movie. So right. Lando getting a Disney Plus series, like 8 episodes or something like that. And I'm thinking he's almost like the fourth member if like there's a trio, you know what I mean? It's like these three, and then there's Lando in the fourth one. I mean, he's leading the charge at the end. They keep cutting back to him. He's very important in Return of the Jedi and in Empire. So it's like,
I hear you, but let me throw this back at you. Are there no other characters that deserve a series before Lando? You know what I mean? Like, are there other characters that would make either more interesting stories or are more popular than Lando? I honestly think that it's nothing to discredit the character of Lando. I think he's a great character, especially his arc within the original trilogy is awesome. He goes from this person that you hate to the person that you love, and he's hilarious and whatever. That's Billy D. Williams playing that role / the story. But I think the character of Lando in Solo is Donald Glover. He makes it cool. He makes it what it is, and I think his popularity and his ability to play Lando is what pushed them to say, yes, we want a Lando series.
When I'm looking at characters from the prequels, the original trilogy, and this one, I feel like they're looking at the prequels and they're going, anybody who would have been a Disney Plus series at this point, like a Mace Windu show or something like that, it doesn't make sense anymore. Like they would have to like recast these people or something. And that's obviously what they're doing here with Lando too. So they'd have to kind of play into it a little bit. But
well, also,
it makes more sense in the sequel trilogy for like Rose or Finn or any of these characters or whatever. But for some reason, they're just like not touching that. Like it doesn't seem like there's any announcement
really
in sight for any sort of Disney Plus series in that sequel era. And I don't know how long that's going to last, but that's opportune time. But I think taking that off the plate, they're looking at the prequel eras or they're looking at the original trilogy and they're like,
they're also not touching
Lando,
the side note. They're not touching the sequel with anything. Books, comics, nothing. That era is not being touched right now.
When the kids who grew up with the sequel trilogy have income, that's when you'll see that stuff.
Probably.
But as far as the one other factor that we got to take into consideration is what and I won't dive too much into it, but the social climate of 2020 and what was going on, and the push for diversity in Star Wars was very loud then. John Boyega was really talking about it loudly, and people thought, Finn didn't maybe get the treatment that they were hoping for or whatever. Mm-hmm. I thought JJ was doing the best he could for him, considering how far along they were in the story. But just having, a minority lead, and they're like, who better than Donald Glover to lead, not only lead a show, but a character everyone already loves, and it just seemed to make a lot of sense.
And letting him do it with two Emmys under his belt,
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they throw it up on the whiteboard and they're looking at all these ideas.
It
and
checks
like
a lot of boxes. We'll say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This Lando thing just makes so much sense. And for me, to say it again, I really think it was actor heavy and then character second. And I'm really excited about it. And I'm glad, he didn't say, I'm coming back as Lando, but like we said on Monday, he said he's coming back as Lando. So I'm pumped to see what they do. But I don't have much else. We're getting up on time as it is. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add to it? I think we covered as much as we could considering the information we have.
I think the only thing I have left to say about this series is I hope we get more information at Celebration. And I feel like we keep saying that. We've been saying it for 2 years now, but I really hope we get more information about this, about all the other projects that are kind of just out there.
And also, having your ear to the ground at Celebration helps too. So, but all right. So, James, did you have anything else that you want to? You look like you're in the thinking position.
No, I my thought was like we didn't really touch on Qi'ra much, but there's not a whole lot to say because we felt like, well, you could easily fit her into the timeline, and it seems like she would be an obvious choice either before or after Solo. So
yeah, I think
because they even mention it in the movie. They're like, we've already met. I know this person. Well, how do you know that person?
Right, I had said that. Yeah.
I think we would have seen an announcement for a Crimson Dawn series already, if not for the Ray Park chaos that had been going on. And I think they're trying to figure out what to do with that because they know fans want that just as much as they want more Han and Chewie and Lando and all that stuff. So we'll see. But all right, so that. Let us know what you think. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's going to be prequel Lando? Do you think they're going to fill some of the time gaps between Solo and when we meet Billy D's Lando? And who do you think may show up in that series to support Lando in his next adventures? And let us know what you think of our discussion. Appreciate that. But now we're going to fire it over to Gilleran for our next segment.
All right, guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. So this is the segment of the show where John puts up a crazy, wacky situation on Twitter, and you guys give your answers. And I don't know what the scenario is. I don't know what you said, and we figure it out together. All right, so the situation is, if George Lucas created a Twitter account, what would his first tweet be? Oh my God, could you imagine? All right. First
We're about to.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
First is as father and son at ASFAS92. What's up, guys? They said, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. What a great first tweet. That would be epic.
Mm-hmm. That would be good.
That's kind of like the Obi-Wan Kenobi hello there tweet.
Except epic.
I'm an epic in the sense for Obi-Wan Kenobi, that's his first tweet. That's kind of funny. All right.
Yeah.
So this next one. Yep.
I'm not going to tweet this because people take things too seriously, but I feel safer on the podcast. I'm already hello there to death about the Kenobi promotion. Like every single thing is hello there. It's crazy.
The Force is strong with
hello
this
there.
new series.
Yeah.
All right. So then John wrote in the document, 40 people have sent this one, but the first one on that gets on the show or says it. So first up is Nick T at the PJ Skittles. What up, Nick? Faster, more intense. So we got a lot
Nick was
of
apparently
fasters
the fastest. Yeah.
and the most intense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well done.
There were so many of those.
Next is Jim at SORB Sorb Photo. What up, Jim? Who said, for Star Wars questions, please contact Mark Hamill. Oh, Mark. He's great. I love that he is Mark Hamill now. He's like, finally, I have gotten Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Gotta get your handle.
Then next is Rez at Real Rez Ludub. What up, Rez? Who said C:/Windows _ like startup Windows. He hasn't been on a computer in forever. Well done. Next is Starbors at Borstar. What up? They said Misa George Lucas, Misa on humble Twitter now. Oh my God.
He loves Jar Jar.
He does. Next is Anthony Mogo at Social
His account
Mogo.
is just a Jar Jar Stan account.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I really expected more out of George, but it's just like
Jar Jar Stan.
it's like Pablo and Transformers.
Yeah.
Next is Anthony Mojo at Social Mojo. What up, Anthony? Who said his thoughts on a documentary he just watched or some fact about cars or trees. Next is Mark at @kind_Awakens. _kind_Awakens. What up, Mark? He said, I just came on here to block Mara Jade.
Oh.
I gotta tell you guys, I put up a tweet the other day that was what Star Wars project announcement would make you do this, and it was a picture of Han Solo like yelling in the Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
I had so many people be like, Mara Jade, it would be so great, Mara Jade, and I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't know if that's ever gonna happen. Next is Lucas Felipe at Lucas Felipe's. What up, Lucas? He said, I have a bad feeling about this.
that would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious. I think that would be better than a long time ago, A Galaxy Far Far. Just because it's like the intention you're setting behind it of like Twitter is a crazy place.
Yeah.
And last but not least is Matthew Planaka at Maddie Planaka. What up, Matt? Who said, here's a link to the sequel treatments I sold to Disney.
That would shut Twitter down.
Oh my
that
God.
That would be.
People would lose it. I guarantee he probably signed something that was like, you'll never release these.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I bet somewhere J.W. Rinsler had like a file somewhere with like the original stuff. Because he said he knew what it was, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've even talked to people who were involved with Lucasfilm now that have been like, I've seen it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that crazy hidden. I think it's just like hidden from the public, and I don't know.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the show. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. We are so close to 10,000 followers. Thank you guys so much. We're trying to get there by celebration, so definitely head over there. We give show updates, we do polls, we do fun stuff, we share cool things on the internet. Definitely check it out. So yeah, back to John.
All right. So first off, a big thank you to our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/resistance broadcast. You know, James said it at the top, you know, it's $2 to join. you joining us not only makes for a more fun time. You like TRB, you get more TRB there. We do a lot of stuff over there, exclusive videos, and we have a Revenge of the Sith commentary coming up soon that we're going to schedule for you guys because we hit one of our recent goals. So thank you. And it just allows us to keep doing what we want to do. But most importantly, a big shout out to our two top tiers, our generals and spice runners. We got to give out the big shout outs to Carmelo, Jeremy Myers, great job in the Pod Race Monday, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Frank Grande, Darth Hurricane, John Charlton, Nick Kratz, who loves Bob Chapek, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Danny, Mike Ramori, Matt Heath, Double C Chris White, Brendan McLauchlan, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you, Generals and Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gellner, Ryan Wara, Dave Hornack, Micah Harrison, Thomas Hennessy, and Andrew Staley. Thank you all for all your support, and all of our patrons. No matter what tier you are, you're helping us out because what you see here is what creates this show. So thank you. Make sure you subscribe to the show on your preferred platform, whether that's an audio app like Spotify or Apple or youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos. We are creeping our way to 8,000 subscribers. I know that's not big fish. It's not jacked fish, but we're getting there. So spread the word and join us there. Even if you listen typically on audio, subscribe to the channel because we have our new shorts that we're throwing up there, or like we're doing like Will of the Force minute questions that we're answering, and a lot of other stuff we're doing on the channel in addition to the podcast. StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. On Twitter, you can find me at Johnny Hoey, and writing and editing at StarWarsNewsNet.com. And I have a movie podcast that's not about Star Wars called Just Like the Movies, which is free on all audio podcast apps. Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran, and definitely check out my review of Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which is up on StarWarsNewsNet.com.
Yes. We got to play. Can we do, is that multiplayer?
It is co-op.
So we could play online?
We could, potentially, yes.
Interesting.
John, you live
All
like
right.
5 miles away. Just drive over to your house, play the game.
It's about 25 minutes, but yeah.
That's what I said. I said 20 to
Gas
5
is just
minutes.
so expensive, though. No. All right, James. Where are you
can
Myra
find
Trunking?
me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks, and anywhere else in the world. Just looking forward to Celebration.
Yes. All right. So we will be back on Monday with another episode, as always. But we hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you then, right here on TRB. See you around, kids.